Hello YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am doing my Los Angeles Times Festival of Books haul. There's like 30 something books in this stack I have. I didn't buy 30 books. I'm going to preface it with that. Most of these books I brought from home, and then when I went to the festival, I bought a few books particular to the authors that were going to be there, or maybe I got talked into a couple. But I would say like all of these books are signed. I think there's only maybe a couple that aren't signed. So yeah, these all have relevance. I didn't just go buy random books for the sake of buying random books. There was a couple though. Who am I kidding? There's a couple books in here I just bought because I wanted. But like the vast majority I bought because I was going to meet the author. First things first, this is not a book obviously, but I was able to meet Hafsah Faizal, who is the author of We Hunt the Flame. It is coming out in May. Sadly, they did not have any of the book at the book fair because they had only like 15 arcs or something. And then I didn't get one because they ran out and it hurt my soul. It hurt my soul so much. But I still did talk to Hafsah and she gave me this pin for the book. And she is the founder of Icy Designs, and she makes like all these really cool enamel pins, and I was so excited to get one, so I was like, yes! Side note to the Hafsah story. So I went up to talk to Hafsah, and I'm like, I don't have your book, I just want to say hello. Which is weird, but like not so weird. And then I saw her post on Twitter later that this was actually her first panel she ever did and her first book signing she ever did. And I was the first in line at this book signing. So I was literally the first person she ever saw at a book signing for her book, and I didn't have the book. And I was just like, hello! So, I'm sorry I was a crazy person, like right off the bat. I didn't know like that was gonna be like your intro to crazy. So, there you go. You know what? I cannot wait any longer for surprises because I've got 2 blind date with the books. This one, they were just giving them out, so I was like, yes, please. This one I bought from the Ripped Bodice, and I can't like wait anymore for the surprise, so let's just get into these. This one, they all had them labeled by like what genre they were. This one's romance. I picked it because it feels relatively new. Obviously, the brown paper wrapping, I couldn't tell what it was, but it felt like the least molested of the books they had. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I don't know who this is, but that is like a romance cover. Oh, okay. This is Jewels by Danielle Steele. You know what? I did pick a good one. It's like brand new. Look at that brand new book. Brand new. You know, I've never actually read anything by Danielle Steele. I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of a historical. It takes place in the 1930s. This girl goes to England and marries a duke. And then the war breaks out, so he leaves to go fighting it, and she's like, I have all these babies you left me with. And it's kind of like the story of their family throughout like 50 years, I think. And, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did get it for like free, so I'm not like upset, but like, it's not like a book I would have picked out on my own. This one from the Ripped Bodice, they always write like a silly blurb on them, and this one had one that was so ridiculous, like I couldn't not buy it. So it says, he needs this scientist to deactivate the bomb in his spine. Don't worry, they do it. And I was like, okay, well if they do it, things aren't that bad. So let me see what this book is. This is one, like, spine bomb. Like, what? I have to have it. Alright, the book I got was Total Surrender by Rebecca Zanetti. Yeah, I guess he's a soldier, and he has a chip in his spine, and I guess it explodes if someone makes it do that. And then there's this lady doctor, and she's trying to, like, make the chip not explode. And he has to like keep her alive, so maybe she's like in like some type of protection situation. I don't know. I heard spine bomb and I was like done buying it. I also picked up A Promise of Fire by Amanda Bouchet. I saw it at the book fair, and I had just read Night Chaser for the Wicked Spirits book club, and I saw this book, and I did want to try out another series by her. This is the Kingmaker Chronicles. This one's definitely more fantasy as opposed to sci-fi like Night Chaser. And yeah, I just saw it there and I grabbed it. This is In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. This one is about this kind of reclusive author, and then she gets invited to a house in the woods, and like, why would you go? Nothing good ever happens in the woods, ever. And yeah, bad things start happening. She wakes up, like, I guess a couple days later in the hospital going, what have I done? So who knows? Someone's dead. It's the creepy woods. It's definitely like horror, psychological thriller. Child of a Mad God by R.A. Salvatore. And I needed to have this. Okay, just from a title perspective, that's a dope title. It's about a girl named Olin, and she is orphaned and then raised by barbarians, and they have this like witchcraft song, and she like can like summon power from it, and she's all powerful and junk, and then like the warlord of their like barbarians is like, sup, and then she's like, ugh, and then like there's this demon in the mountains, and he's also like, hey, sup, and she's like, ah. So witchcraft and a girl who needs to save the world. So I don't know, it's kind of a title buy, honestly, but like I have really high hopes for this one. I think it looks like it's gonna be good. I also picked up not one, not two, but 3 books by Eva Leigh. So Eva Leigh was actually at the festival, and I was super excited to get her books because she is a historical romance novel author. I've heard her compared to Tessa Dare before, so I was like, ooh, okay, I want to go talk to this lady and see what she's like. And she's actually super cool. You've seen in the previous video, these are all kind of feminist, sex positive historical romances. And I'm like, oh, if they're sex positive, they're gonna be fucking in it. Yes. Like, I don't really want a clean historical romance. I just want to see a girl get to wear an awesome dress and have dirty sex with the Duke. Am I right? Yes, I am. I actually have the whole London Underground series. I have From Duke Till Dawn. I have Counting on a Countess, and her most recent release, which is Dare to Love a Duke. This one in particular, I'm very fascinated by because the heroine in it is a former sex worker, and then she gets her own happily ever after with a duke, and I was like, yeah, you know what? There should be more light skirts in historical romance. There's not enough. So this one I am super intrigued by, and I was really excited that I got to meet the author and like kind of talk to her about her books. So these ones seem really cool. I'm excited. It might be a Tessa Dare contender. I also got to meet Alyssa Cole at the festival, and I'm still freaking out about it. I kind of am obsessed with Alyssa Cole. I love her books. I did get all the books I already owned for the Reluctant Royal series signed. So I have Princess in Theory, I have A Duke by Default, and I have Once Ghosted, Twice Shy. I have reviewed all of these on this channel, and they're all super, super cool contemporary romances. This one in particular, it's kind of like, what happens if a Nigerian prince scam is actually true? Because there's this Nigerian prince, he's like, hey, you are my long lost love, send me your personal information. And she's like, whatever, bye. And then like it turns out that's true. So very cool premise. This one, there's a hashtag Sword Bay because there is Tavish Mackenzie, who's a Scottish guy who makes swords, and he's like swinging them around all sexily. And you have Portia, who's like a spunky, smart heroine, good pairing. And then Once Ghosted, Twice Shy is a FF romance. This one in particular, it's about Licozzi and Fabiola. Licozzi, I'll just tell you, that girl is a panty dropper, like legit. Like the girl has game, and I respect. So this is a really, really fun series. There are 2 more books coming out. They're already pre-ordered. They're coming to me soon. I can't wait for them. I also got An Extraordinary Union signed. This is her historical series, and it is kind of spies during the Civil War, and it does deal with former slaves becoming spies for the Union Army. So they're going like behind enemy lines in the Confederacy, and it's really, really cool story. And I do think it's like probably loosely based on a real woman, and I definitely want to try out her historicals because I've heard they're really good, and I really like her contemporaries, so I'll probably like her historicals as well. I also picked up Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleeton. Now, I hadn't really heard of this book before. Like, I had kind of seen it in passing because it is part of, like, Reese's book club. So I had, like, seen it, and I didn't think much of it. And then she was going to be at the festival. So I was like, all right, let's, like, research this a bit. And I went on Goodreads, and I kept seeing all these people that I know on Goodreads who have said like amazing things about this, that it's steamy and it's super cool and it's kind of historical and it's you know, has that Cuban flair, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm buying it. I also got Fire Danger by Claire Davon. I can't not say Fire Danger. Like that's just how I say it. So this book I kind of just like lucked into because they had like the Lara booth, which is Los Angeles Romance Authors Association or whatever. They have a booth there, and I was walking by and they're like, hey, do you want a free romance book? And I'm like, yes, I do. And she's like, here, take this one. The author's signing it right there. And I'm like, okay. So this one was just kind of given to me, and then I got it signed by the author. So this was like a happy accident. From reading the blurb, it's kind of dealing with, it's like a paranormal romance. It has phoenixes as the paranormal element. And I haven't really read a lot about phoenixes in a smutty content, so it could be cool. This is like a happy accident book. I had no idea like I was gonna get this book. So, I mean, it's pretty short too. So it's worth like at least trying a chapter or two. I don't have to be too invested. I also got my Arc of the Darkdeep signed. This is by Ali Condie and Brendan Reichs. And I got it because Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany sent this to me, and she said it was good. So I was like, okay, the authors are gonna be there. I'm gonna meet them. And it's supposed to be kind of Stranger Things feeling. It's a bit middle grade, and I don't do a lot of middle grade, but I'm not opposed to it because like I do genuinely like Percy Jackson, and you know, I mean, Harry Potter's kind of middle grade for a lot of it. So there are really great middle grade books out there. So I don't know, I'm down to try it out. It seems kind of like spooky and atmospheric. And I mean, if I'm looking for someone who's gonna write like a great scary environment, like I would definitely think of Brendan Reichs, because he wrote an apocalypse in Nemesis, his other book, that's legit terrifying. It's a terrifying apocalypse he wrote. So like I have faith that he can write like a spooky book. Also by Ali Condie, I picked up The Last Voyage of Poe Blythe. This was about Poe Blythe. She is a river dredger, so basically she just like rips up riverbeds, destroying them because she's searching for gold or minerals or something. And it's also very much a revenge tale because she had a really good life and then it all got stripped away from her, so she's out for revenge. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I want a good revenge story. And also it deals with like river boats, and I don't know, there's something like inherently revengeful about boats. I don't know why. Like I feel like vengeance and boats go together really well. And especially a boat that's sole purpose is like destruction. So yeah, it's got a lot of like, you know, metaphors going on here. And also the cover's really cool, and I just picked it up because I was like, oh, this seems really cool. I want to read it. I also got 2 books by Kat Winters. The first one is The Cure for Dreaming, and this is the ARC. And I actually already had this, obviously, because it's an ARC, from 2014. It's been on my shelf for a while. And it's been on my shelf so long, I brought it to the festival to get her to sign it, and it was already signed. I forgot. So I have this one already signed, ARC on my shelf. I also picked up her new book. It's called The Raven's Tale, and it seems really kind of cool. This one is kind of like a spooky story about Edgar Allan Poe. So this is Edgar Allan Poe before he was writing, and then there is a muse who is like a sinister, maybe paranormal type of thing, and her name is Lenore, which obviously is an Edgar Allan Poe thing, and he's just being like tormented, and it was like, he's a tormented guy. I want to like, it's kind of interesting throwing in a paranormal tormentor into the story, and it's got a great cover, the font is cool, and like anything Edgar Allan Poe and like torment, and like it seems like cool and atmospheric and spooky, and I definitely want to try this out. Like I'm very intrigued by it. It's got a lot of things that like maybe go, okay, I see you, like I'm in. This book I have no idea what is. There was a guy with a lampshade on his head, and he's like, hey, do you want a free book? And I was like, all right. Like, he just kind of handed this to me. It's called Rin, Tongue, and Dorner, and it's by Rich Shapiro. I don't know if it was the Rich Shapiro who was wearing a lampshade on his head with tassels. It was a tasseled lampshade. I don't know if it was him who handed me this book or just some guy, but some guy handed me this book. It's just weird sounding. It's like kind of post-apocalyptic, and it's a new ice age, so everyone kind of just lives by the equator now because it's still habitable. And then there's this guy who keeps hearing voices in his head, and there's a neuroscientist who's like, hey, maybe they're real, let's bring them out. And it's like, what? Okay. So, I don't know, lots going on in this one. I'm kind of intrigued just because it was a guy in a lampshade who gave it to me. So, like, maybe I should try a chapter? Like, I don't know about this. I also picked up Defy Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is book 5 of the Shatter Me series. Now, I will say, the previous book, Restore Me, did not restore me. It broke my soul into a million pieces. So I need this one. So I need it. I need it to actually restore me like the last book should have. Obviously, I'm gonna buy it. I love Tahereh. She's like an awesome lady. And I love this series, and I needed it. There you go. Like, it wasn't like I wasn't not gonna buy it, obviously. So, yes, I have such high hopes. I am that bitch because I did read the last page of this already because I like spoilers, damn it. And the last page makes me so excited to read the book, honestly, because I'm like, yes, things are gonna be okay. Things are gonna be okay. Like, I have so much less anxiety now. I also picked up Damsel by Elena Arnold. Now, I have gone back and forth about Damsel a lot. I have friends who've read it who really loved it. I have friends who've read it who said it's disgusting. So I don't know. And I don't know. I was like a no for a long time because I know it has a lot of disturbing content, i.e. sexual assault. And like I don't like reading about sexual assault. It bothers me. So I was like really nervous about this one because it seems like something I'd really like. But like I was really nervous about the content, frankly. And then I read this book recently, Girls of Paper and Fire, which is also heavily, there's a lot of trigger warnings on page 1 for sexual assault. So I read that and actually got a lot out of it, and I thought it was handled very well. So I'm like, okay, you know what? It can be handled in a responsible way that doesn't like, I don't know, sensationalize sexual assault, which I've had problems with other books. So I feel like Elena Arnold isn't gonna write a book that sensationalizes it. I feel like she's gonna handle it well. So I just bought it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try it out. I'm giving it a chance. I got 2 books by John Scalzi. I have read a few books by John Scalzi, and I do like them a lot. He's just not an author I have talked about on my channel, really, because I had read them. I was reading John Scalzi before I started my channel, essentially. And there's a couple of books by him I absolutely love. One is called Fuzzy Nation. The other is called Red Shirts. I recommend. They're really funny. These 2 I actually haven't read yet, but these are his most popular series, so I did pick them up. First, I have Old Man's War. This one is, it's sci-fi. Obviously, there's spaceships on the cover. It's a really interesting concept because in this world, the only people allowed to like join the army are retirees. Like if you're that old, those are the guys they want because they want people who are intelligent, who have knowledge, who have lived through some shit. They want those guys as soldiers. And so they take them to the front and they do like some science-y stuff to them and make them into younger bodies. So they still have like old man brains, but in young guy bodies. And then they like are soldiers. And it seems really cool. I know he has this sarcastic wit. He's got cool sci-fi elements. So this one is actually one of his like most popular series. So I just picked it up. I want to try it out. I also picked up The Collapsing Empire, which is one of his newer series, and also seems super cool. Basically, there is this river in space, and it what allows people to migrate to other planets, and it's called the interdependency because all of these planets are very interdependent on each other. And this space river is moving. So basically, if they don't do something about it, all of the planets are going to be cut off from each other. So the empire will just crumble. So I guess Collapsing Empire. I just got the title. I just got it right now. I was a little slow on the uptake, but it's fun sci-fi. It seems cool. I trust John Scalzi to like write a good sci-fi book. I also finally picked up Pride by E.B. Zaboy. I have been wanting to read this for so long, and like I can't tell you the amount of times I went to the bookstore and held it and said, I'm gonna buy you, and then be like, I'll wait. Like I've done it like probably 4 times I can think of off the top of my head. So I've been wanting this book for a while. Then Ibiza Boy was at the festival, so I was like, okay, fate has decided I need to buy the book now so I can meet Ibiza Boy. And I was so excited to meet her. Like, she's written a lot of really cool stuff that I respect, so I definitely wanted to pick this one up. It is kind of a Pride and Prejudice retelling. This one happens in Brooklyn, and it deals with gentrification. And I was like, every bit of that, like, premise sounds incredible. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, so I definitely do want to read this. And it was like just happy accident, like the fates aligned that Ibiza Boy was going to be where I was going to be. So now I'm definitely buying her book. Also, I finally met Danielle Page. I have been trying to meet this author for years. I read the Dorothy Must Die series like a couple years ago when it was coming out, and I genuinely really enjoyed it. It's very much a topsy-turvy Oz story. Basically, all of our heroes from the beloved Wizard of Oz story, you know, Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, are all super villains. They are so monstrously evil. And actually, the people who are defending Oz are the Wicked Witches. And since Dorothy's the Emperor of Oz, she's writing the story, so therefore she can say whoever she wants is wicked. And the Wicked Witches in this are super cool, so it's all entirely kind of from their perspective. And I love me a good Wicked Witch. I love the Wizard of Oz. I've probably seen it at least 100 times. It was like my favorite movie when I was a kid. So anything Wizard of Ozzy, like, I'm definitely gonna like take a second glance at. And then a book called Dorothy Must Die. Great title. And then I read it and I loved it. So definitely a great series. I had a lot of fun reading it. I got Bird Box by Josh Malerman, and this one's kind of a surprise one because I was going back and forth about it because I knew I wanted to read the book, but I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to get over there at the right time to see Josh Malerman. And then his signing got bumped from Saturday to Sunday, so I'm like, oh, well, I'm definitely gonna have time on Sunday to see him. So it worked out. Obviously, Bird Box is a Netflix movie, and I've been waiting to see the movie because I do want to read the book first. I don't read a lot of horror, but when I do pick a good horror book, like, they stick with me for a long time. So I'm hoping this one is gonna stick with me. I have really high hopes for it. I know friends who have read it and they liked it a lot, so I definitely want to get into this one and see what it's all about. I also picked up 2 books by Charlie Jane Anders. So I have All the Birds in the Sky and I have The City in the Middle of the Night. Both of these books are kind of fantasy, and I had heard of both of them before. Like, the titles I had heard of, I had heard good things, and then I was like, okay, well, the author's gonna be at the festival. I've heard good things. The books intrigue me. I'm gonna pick them up and meet this author. It'll be dope. And you know what? It was really cool meeting the author because, you know what? If I'm on the fence about a book or I don't know much, and I go to the book signing and I meet the author, I hear them talk about their work, like, it makes me want to buy them more, essentially. Both of them sound really cool. All the Birds in the Sky is basically, there's a coven of witches and then a coven of hipster tech geeks, and they're at war with each other. Yes. all of that, yes. Then you have City in the Middle of the Night. It's a post-apocalyptic world because basically one half of the planet is always in unbearable sunlight, the other half is in unbearable darkness. So there's only a small, like, sliver down the middle where it's habitable. And there's a bunch of cities there. There's a girl living in it. They kick her out. They're like, bye, bitch. And I don't know why. They kicked her out. And she ends up surviving in this wasteland because she makes friends with the monsters that live there. And I was like, she has monster friends? Yes! So both of these books I had heard great things about. I got to meet the author. Very excited. I also picked up Lovely War by Julie Berry. I had heard awesome things about this book and I kept seeing it around and I was like, all right, today is the day. Julie Berry's gonna be there. I'm gonna meet her. It's about these different people who are involved in World War II, and Aphrodite is like spinning their love story in order to get out of trouble in Olympus. So they have the Greek gods, you have World War II, you have historical elements, you have like star-crossed lovers, and it was all of it sounds great. I'm so in. Like, it's made of things I like. Okay, finally at the end of this haul, I picked up The Queens of Innisleer by Tessa Gratton. Sadly, Tessa Gratton was not at the festival, but I saw this there and I was like, I have been wanting that for a long time. Buying. King Lear is actually one of my favorite plays by Shakespeare. This is kind of, well, it's not even gender bent. It's just about the King Lear's 3 daughters, and it's from their perspective rather than from Lear's perspective. And I'm really interested in reading from it from their perspective because the daughters are always the coolest part of that story. I always have a soft spot for Cordelia. She's just great. I love Cordelia, okay? She's one of my favorite characters. Then you have her older sisters, Reagan and what's the other one? Gayla? Her older sisters, and they're both very different than Cordelia. Cordelia is all about, like, faith and duty, and then you have, like, Reagan, who's kind of, like, the light skirt of the bunch, and then you have Gayla, who's just, like, a murder lady. So I'm super interested in seeing that sister dynamic being at the forefront of the story, because it's Lear, it's the sisters. I mean, like, I love that aspect of it. I love the whole concept here. Dear Lord, that's a lot of books. It's like 34, 35 books. Like, you know what? I do feel good because I did buy some books because I was going to meet the author at the festival. They had intrigued me, so I was like, it's perfect time to buy it. But a lot of these books I did bring from home, so it's not like I just went like on a crazy book binge. Like, a lot of them I just brought from home. I got to meet some really cool authors that I hadn't met before, and I got to meet some new authors that I was excited to meet. I found a lot of cool new stories that I'm into. I have no idea when I'm going to read them all because there's a lot of things to read here. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below which one of these books are you most intrigued by. There's a lot of like kind of newer titles in here. What like stands out to you the most? If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!